Hi my little Shardies, welcome and welcome back. This is Christina with Shhh Online. Today I'm going to be working in Fragile World by Kerby Rosanes. This is his brand new book. I do have a flip through on my channel. I will leave a link in the description box below. Today we're going to be working on page 16 and 17, which is the endangered chimpanzee. This entire book is about endangered animals and their habitats. I've already started page 16, but we're going to be working on page 17 today. I just wanted to get an idea on the color palette. And although this looks like I colored in black, the only black I used is right here in the darkest part around the deepest shadow areas. And I think this is going to wind up being a video series because it would just take me way too long to color this in one video. I think we're going to focus on this chimpanzee right here. Alright guys, again, I am not going to be using a lot of black. Most of what I'm going to be using is other colors. Once you use black, you can't make black any blacker. So trying to do any kind of shadows or anything like that isn't going to work. So I have to use other colors. That way there's some color variation and there's some depth and it doesn't look flat. So surprisingly enough, I'm going to start with indigo blue. And we'll put this over here. Alright, so if you look at the color black, a lot of times it's got different color undertones. And when I was looking at reference photos of chimpanzees, I noticed that a lot of the black had blue undertones. So that is why I'm doing blue undertones. Don't let it scare you. Both of these chimpanzees over here that I did exactly the same way. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going all around where there's like a lot of lines and I'm adding this indigo blue. It's probably going to be like the darker areas of this picture, and this chimp looks like it's going to be pretty dark. I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and put the layers down. Like I'll speed up in between each layer, and you guys can pause if you're trying to color along. This is going to be a really long video if I don't. Alright, so now I have a general base layer of the indigo blue down. I don't have a card for this one right now, so guys bear with me. This is $9.97, and I'm just going to, in a couple key areas, just put a little tiny bit of this for now. Just kind of going where there's going to be a little bit of light, and I think maybe the hair is going to part a little bit. See some of the skin undertone. There's going to be a lot of this color in the face and on the hands and feet. And the ear. I can't forget the ear. Alright, so now we're going to go in with 1058 warm gray. I'm just going to, in little strokes, quick little strokes, go right over top of where I put the blue. And I'm not being super heavy-handed right now. I'm just lightly going over top of it. And I'm trying to go in the direction of what I think the fur would be. See, what I'm likely to do is put some black around here so this arm doesn't blend in with his face. And if you prefer like a browner chimp, you can use like a dark brown like espresso or sepia with the blue. And I'm going to build up my layers on this just like I would in any other picture. So there'll be a few layers of me adding some of the same colors. We've really darkened this belly area. I think it's going to wind up being like a little bit lighter here. So I think you would get more light in this area. So I'm not going to really put too much of this color right there, right at this moment. And I think this top part of this arm here is going to be, it's going to have just a little bit more light. Probably the front part of this leg. I'd love for you guys to comment in the comment box below and let me know how long it took you to do one of these chimps. I think the first one that I did, the big one over on the other page, took me over an hour. Probably considerably longer than that because I wasn't actually watching the clock. And the second one took me about half the amount of time, and this one is coming along pretty quickly, but that's because I have a general idea on my color palette and what I want to use. Alright, in these lighter areas here, I'm going to use 1076 90% French Gray. I'm just going to go in to where those areas are going to be lighter. And if I don't like it, I can always darken it up. So it's good to start light because you can add darker colors if you think that's going to be like too brown or too light when it's done. But if you go the other direction and you start dark, you can't really lighten it up. And trying to erase Prismacolors, it doesn't usually work too well. And again, I'm just using like a lot of little strokes. I want to make sure they have a lot of texture. And if I color it in solid, I'm not going to get that texture that I'm looking for. Alright, it kind of looks like a mess right now, huh? So that's what I have so far. I'm going to come back in with my indigo blue. And in these darker areas where there's like a lot going on, like a lot of lines, I know that's going to be like the more shadow area, I'm putting some more of this indigo blue. Come in again with my warm gray. You can see kind of now how the color is coming along and that blue fades out in the background. It's becoming more of like a dark gray. That is exactly what you're looking for. It does kind of have a little bit of a fugly stage. You're just going to keep building up these layers. Again, if you wanted to have some brown undertones, I'm probably going to add a little bit of brown in the next couple layers, but you can definitely use brown instead of grays. I think most chimpanzees are almost black. Alright, so now that I have my base colors down, let me go ahead and show you what it looks like. I am going to add a little I don't know where my cards are today. I am going to add a little 935 black because I want to separate this area here. It's getting too dark. It's starting to blend in too much. So I'm going to add, just like I did on the rest of it, going to do little strokes. It's okay that you're kind of covering up some of the other colors. I'm going to come down here. Again, what I'm trying to do is break it up so it has some depth and dimension. And just make sure you're using quick little strokes. And I'm only using the black where I think there's going to be the most amount of shadow. And I really want to help give it a little bit of depth. I don't want it to be flat. And if I don't break up where the stuff is blending in, it's going to look really flat. And you can actually go in with your black as you continue in areas where you think would be a little darker. If you want to just give it a little bit more interest, you can then just in those certain spots add, like, you know, a couple strokes of the black. But remember, once you add the black, you can't take it back. So you can't get any darker than black. Alright, so that is all I'm going to do with the black. I'm going to go back in here with my 1076 French Gray. And I'm going to go back over the areas that I made later. And I'm going right into, I kind of messed that up. I'm going right into the area where I have the warm gray. You don't have to just stick to the one area. I just want overall when it's done that area to be a little bit lighter than where I have the French gray. and try to make sure you're staying with whatever direction the hair is going. If you guys are choosing not to use the same colors that I'm using, what color palette are you using for this? Alright, so now that I did that, oh, looks like I missed a little bit here. It still now looks like a little too furry, so I'm going to come back in one more time with my French gray, and I'm going to try to put in smaller strokes to blend it out just a little bit, or blend it in, I guess, just a little bit. Again, make sure you go into those lighter areas just a little bit here and there with your darker colors. Like, don't cover it up, but go in there and kind of blend it a little bit. And I am using a little bit more pressure. I'm not trying to cover up my previous strokes. I'm just trying to kind of tame them down a little bit and blend them together further. My husband was talking to me yesterday about layering, and I said, I'm not even sure I can color now without layering. It's kind of become ingrained. But it takes me a lot longer to color my pictures because I do take the time, most of the time, to layer. I have a couple videos that I've posted where I've kind of cut corners on that. I try not to do that, but the videos get too long if I don't. I'm not sure if I've sped up any part of this video, but it's already been a half hour. Real time, so you can imagine how long it might take if I just took my time. Alright, I'm going to go one more time with my 935 black. Again, I'm sorry I don't have a card for this one. And I'm just going to darken up those shadow areas. Again, if you had done the entire picture in the black, you would not be able to see where the shadows are. It would be a really flat picture. That's why I chose not to use straight black and only use my black for the deepest, darkest areas of the chimp. Right here I'm just adding a little more black because I want the face to look a little curved. And it wasn't quite there, it was almost there, but not quite. Alright, let's show you what I got. When you lay it flat, you tend to lose a lot of the light kind of reflects off of it, so the color is not exactly as it is when you set it up. But that's what he looks like. So he does have a little bit of brown undertone that I have in there. I'm okay with that right now. And then of course we made our own shades of black here, but as you can tell, if you had put the whole thing black like this, it would be very monotone. So I did not, that's why I chose to use the indigo blue for the background and then build up my dark gray on top of that. And I did the same thing again over on that one and that one. Now that I've done most of this picture, I actually found my little cards. So I'm going to come into the face here, and the hands, and the feet. And I'm going to add some more of this 997 beige. Like that. And then I'm going to come in with some 941 light umber. And I'm going to start to go, let me zoom in just a little bit more. Where there's a lot of lines, again, to me that means he wants those areas darker. So I'm going to put this light umber first in those areas. I'm probably going to come through with even a darker brown. I'm going to start with this light umber. I'm going to leave this area alone right here. I think I'm going to put some pink in that area. I'll come down here into his palm. And I'm not really using the strokes I did with the fur because it's not fur, so just coloring regularly in those areas. Right, now I'm going to come in with some pink. And I'm very light-handed. I'm not doing a heavy hand because this is a brighter pink. And I'm going to blend this out where I'm putting this pink. I'm going to blend it out with some of the 997 beige. Might even just a little bit here. And there is quite a bit of pink on there. It looks very, very, very pink right now, but that's okay, it won't. So now I'm going to go back in with my 997, and I'm going to go right over that area that I put pink. And hit up some of these areas that I kind of missed a little bit. Right? And now I'm going to go in quite a bit darker, and I think I'm going to take some sepia here. Go a little darker here, and I'm going to take some 947 dark umber, and I'm going to go over the areas with the deepest shadows in the hands. I'm not pressing really heavy. Come over here under the eyes, kind of pulling that color into the hairline a little bit. What I really like is that you have multiple chimpanzees, so if you don't love the first one you got a couple more to do. And each one will look just a little bit different, even if you're not trying to make it look a little different. And I'm kind of blending right into that light umber. So it's going to be darker where the shadow areas are. So I'm going over that a couple of times, doing basically what I would do for multiple layers at once. And then as I'm coming up, I'm lightening up my hand to gradually have it blend into that light umber. Come down here. Again, I'm doing darker toward the line and then kind of lightening up as I'm blending into that light umber color. Just adding some shadows. Do a little more shadow over here. And his ear looks a little not done for me, so I'm going to add a little bit more light umber. And then I'm going to come back through with 997. And then I'm going to come back in just a little bit with black. And in this darkest area, darken it up just a little bit more. And in the pupil of the eye, nose. I'll come here too, I think right at this tree. And really lightly I'm going over the 947. And then here where the hair is. And then right here in his palm where it's grasped, that looks like there's a lot of shadow there. Just add a little bit of black there too. I'm not trying to cover up the brown, I'm just trying to darken it a little bit. Now I'm going to go around the hair right at his face here. Just a little bit on the top of his head. Where I think there would be a little bit of shadow right there. Make sure again you're going with the direction the hair is going, and I was doing tiny little strokes there. Alright, I think I am going to call him done for the moment. I always say for the moment because as I progress with the picture, although by itself it looks really good, sometimes as you move forward it will look a little like you'll need to make tweaks to it. So for now I think he looks really good. As I move forward he might not have enough depth for me, so I may add something later, but right now I'm happy with the way he looks. And again, I know some of the areas looks really dark and bold, but as you continue with the picture, that will blend right in. Again, I color extremely slowly, but to give you an idea, this took me so far 51 minutes, and that was just to do the chimpanzee. So I'm not sure if in the next video we'll continue to do the chimpanzees or I'll do them off screen and we'll start working on the trees and foliage. But this is what I have so far. And again, if he's too light for you or he's too much on the brown side, you can just keep adding in the indigo blue and the 1058 and just keep building that up, and it will turn darker and darker. Like this one has a lot more of that in there than this one does. This one has a lot more of the brown in it. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, color happy, and remember, shh. It's our little secret. Alright guys, some bonus footage here at the end. I'm working on these two chimpanzees. I just wanted to show you that I messed up here, so now your eye's going to be drawn to that area. I did try to erase it, but you know, it's Prismacolors. It's not going to work. That's okay. It will cover up when I do this branch here with the brown, so I'm not too worried about it. But this is my base layer on these, and I'm just going to add some images as I progress with these so you can see the stages. Alright guys, I put another layer on, 1058 90% warm gray on top of my indigo blue, so that's what you see here. And I went ahead and colored this part of the tree branch here because I kept trying to color it French gray over top of that blue. So to eliminate any future issues there with it blending in, I went ahead and colored that the color of the tree branch so I don't keep messing it up. So that is layer 2. Be back in a minute. Alright guys, I just did yet another layer, so I'm going to put another one down. That's how it's looking.